I'm Maruno, and today's video is going to be another discussion on the Holy Bible. All right, so I'm going to talk about Genesis 2 and 3 today. If you were here for the first edition or first episode, first video on this topic, we talked about Genesis 1, which was the first 6 days of creation. And it was like a series of strange events that kind of like try to explain how God got the ball rolling on the whole experience of this universe, right? But I thought we would just continue reading and go into Genesis 2 and 3 just to kind of see, just for funsies, just to see what God's creation does after he creates it. Okay, so let's go ahead and just get right into it. Starting Genesis 2. Thus the heavens and the earth and all the host of them were finished. And on the seventh day, God ended his work which he had done, and he had rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. All right, so first we have God needing rest. So God gets tired. So what is God? Like they still have yet to explain like what is this thing that we're talking about? Like what is it? Is it a being? Is it a guy? Like is it a spirit? It's getting tired. It does 6 days worth of work, then it gets tired. Also, it's saying that he ended his work, but how is it possible that God's work is ever ending? Like you would think that everything that's happening here, God has to constantly be analyzing it, right? God has to he has to be constantly paying attention to it. So it seems like his work would never end. So I don't think God has the flexibility. Like his schedule is not really flexible enough for him to be taking breaks and having rest, right? That's just my opinion though, I guess. So let's keep going. Then God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he rested from all his work which God had created and made. This is the history of the heavens and the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, before any plant of the field was in the earth, and before any herb of the field had grown. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain on the earth, and there was no man to till the ground. But a mist went up from the earth, and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. All right, so the seventh day is apparently the day of rest. And it's just this last little section of it is basically just kind of going over a brief summary of what happened. So God created the earth and the heavens, and all the ridiculousness that we went over in the first episode. But then he does say that he formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. So it seems like man, what I am, is like dirt, and we're like a clay mold of God. So we're made in his image. So this is like a clay mold of God, but God is really the real thing. I'm just like an image or representation of God. And I'm assuming the breath of life doesn't just mean air, like just breathing. I'm assuming that includes like heartbeats and brain activity and like blood flow and like, the rest of the organs and all that too. Because just to give as much credit to that as possible, I'm assuming that that's what that includes. So God molds us from dirt, and then he kind of just makes us into like this wet thing, like this this wet meaty thing that we are. Pause. Let's just keep going. All right, so the next section is life in God's garden. The Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground the Lord God made every tree grow that is pleasant to the sight and good for food. The tree of life was also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. So mind you, God is doing all these things. God is the responsible for putting, he put Adam in Eden, and he is putting the tree of the trees that are good for food there. God put them there, and then the tree of good and evil, God also put that there. So we got to be keeping in the back of our minds that this is not like a joke. This is meant to be. This is literally telling what God did. It's not meant to be like a metaphor or just kind of like a guess or anything. It's supposed to be like, this is literally what happened. Okay. Now a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from there it parted and became 4 riverheads. The name of the first is Fishin. It is the one which skirts the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. So what is bad gold like? I don't know why everything has to be like annotated with it was good, but I don't know where the bad gold's at, and what is God gonna do about the bad gold? But let's just continue. I don't know if this is bdellium or delium, and the onyx stone are there. The name of the second river is Gihon or Gahan. It is the one which goes around the whole land of Cush. Now, I can get down with that, bro. If God has a whole land of Cush, man, I'm okay. I can get down with that. God. I'm supporting you on that one. The name of the third river is Hiddekel. It is the one which goes toward the east of Assyria. The fourth river is the Euphrates. So it's just talking about some rivers. Like, that seems not to be too significant. Then the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to tend and keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat, for in that day you eat of it, you shall surely die. And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him a helper comparable to him. So we got God telling Adam, it's like God, so in the back of my mind, I'm kind of like wondering, what is God's motivation for all this? Because if God is the source of all of this, you would think God is complete in himself. So what is God's motivation for creating all this universe and creating this man and giving him all these demands? Like, he's giving him responsibility to take care of the Garden of Eden, and he's also giving him commands that there's certain things that he can and can't do. So it's like what's the motivation behind that? Like, what is God trying to do? Is God like trying to entertain himself or something? Like, because you think God doesn't really need entertainment because he's already complete within himself. He doesn't need that. But nonetheless, this is the Bible. Out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every bird of the air, and brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. And whatever Adam called each living creature, that was its name. Okay, so I wonder what the set of original animals were, because we still to this day are discovering and finding new creatures, and it seems like scientists are giving them names. So I don't really know what Adam would call these new things that we find, but it makes me curious about what is the original set of animals like, because it just there's no specifics about it. God just has made every beast, right from the beginning. He just made all the beasts of the air and the water and the land. He doesn't really go into specifics about like which specific animals he made. So Adam gave names to all cattle, of the birds of the air, to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper comparable to him. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall on Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs and closed up the flesh in its place. Then the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, he made into a woman, and he brought her to the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. So I thought God already made man and woman before all this, but it seems like this is now God creating woman for real. So I also kind of like take issue with this, because it makes it seem as if women are less than men. Because if a woman if God took a rib out of Adam and used that rib to create a woman, it's almost like saying that a woman is a fraction of a man, And that doesn't seem like it makes very much sense at all, because obviously men and women go together. We're clearly equal. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know why, I don't know why it's calling her comparable to him, as if man is really the priority. It's really males that are the priority here. So it seems like males are really the ones who are made in God's image, and women are just kind of like a fraction of that, right? Which is like kind of just seems absurd to me. But let's continue. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife, and they shall become one flesh. So I guess that's referring to marriage. And they were both naked, and the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. Oh, and they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. So now, Adam and Eve are married, and they're naked. Damn, it must be like a privilege to get just directly married by God. Like most of us, like everybody else who gets married, you gotta go to like a church and get married by like a priest or somebody. But nah, you Adam and Eve, they got straight God. They got straight God to marry them. That's epic. All right, so they were naked though, and they were not ashamed. Okay, so that's Genesis 2. Genesis 3 is called the temptation and fall of man. Okay, so now the serpent was, wait, let me make sure okay. So the temptation and fall of man. Now the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field, which the Lord God had made. And God said to the woman, and he said to the woman, has God indeed said, you shall not eat of every tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, you shall not eat it, nor shall you touch it, lest you die. Then the serpent said to the woman, you will not surely die, for God knows that in the day you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and that you will be like God, knowing good and evil. So now there's a serpent talking to this woman, and the serpent is more cunning than all the other creatures, which I'm assuming is a character trait that God gave to that serpent. So God knew what he was doing when he was creating all these animals. And when he created the serpent, he must have known that he was making the serpent more cunning. And so you got this serpent talking to this woman, and he's kind of like he's kind of going against what God told her already. And he's saying that she will be like God, knowing good and evil. So at this point, Adam and Eve both don't know the difference between good and evil. So this is like, so their experience is totally like judgmentless, because in order for you to even think of something as good, so even before this, right, the fruits that they're allowed to eat, they have no preference towards those fruits. They don't have a preference about the fruits. It's just like, okay, fruits are available to eat, and there's a tree that I'm not supposed to eat from, right? Okay. So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, that it was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desirable to make one wise, she took of its fruit and she ate. She also gave to her husband with her, and he ate. So now I'm confused, because it says that she saw the tree was good for food. So if she doesn't have concepts of what is good and what is bad, how does she have that idea in her head that this fruit on this forbidden tree is good? You know, how does she have that idea in her head? I don't understand how she knows that before she took a bite, because before she took a bite, assume she doesn't know the difference between good and evil. And she actually believes the serpent over God. So she believes the serpent. I don't know what made this woman convinced by this serpent. Like, I don't know why, literally you got direct instructions from literally God himself, like the God, the top G, like the real top G. You got real instruction from this thing to say, eat from all the other fruit trees, but not this specific one. But instead she's listening to like a serpent, like, which is like a random animal. So I don't understand what she's thinking at this point. Okay. And then she gave the fruit to Adam, and he also ate from that. So how is he the man? You'd think, okay, so at least if she gets convinced, it's because if she gets confused, it's because she's a woman, right? Because a woman is like a fraction of a man. So maybe she's like also a fraction of his intelligence, right? But how does Adam get convinced by this? Like, how does Adam also take the fruit and eat it when he knows she got the fruit, listening to it? Like, imagine you're Adam and you're sitting there looking at your wife talking to a serpent, and he convinces her like, yeah, you should eat this, even though God said don't do it. It's gonna make you smart. Like what? As Adam, why would you participate in that? Why would you participate in that? Why would you not be like, bro? Like, why would you not be like, get your ass over here? We're not doing that shit. Don't listen to that serpent. Why would you not do that immediately? Like, when you know God is your real dad, you know? I don't know. This is the story though. Okay. So then the eyes of both of them were opened, and they knew that they were naked. And they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves coverings. Okay, so now they're noticing they're naked, and suddenly they're insecure about themselves now. So now they just are naked, and they're like, we don't want to be like this. Adam's like, my dick's slanging, and you can't, even though you're my wife and there's no other humans, you can't see my dick slang. And then she's like, I got my titties flapping. You can't see this. So now now they're covered. Maybe they're trying to cover up from the serpent. I don't know. Maybe the serpent is like, maybe now that their eyes are open, they can see that the serpent is like perverted now. I don't know. I don't know why they decide suddenly they're ashamed for no reason. And they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord among the trees of the garden. So God is walking. I'm becoming more and more believing that God is a man. Like, God is literally supposed to be a figure of a man. Okay, because he's walking in the garden in the cool of the day. Apparently God has a preference for if it's what kind of temperature it is. But these two idiots think they're gonna hide from God, as if God doesn't know everything already, right? So they're not only are they now they're hiding their bodies, they're hiding their bodies from each other, and then now they're physically trying to hide from God because they know what they did was fucked up. Then the Lord God called to Adam and said to him, "Where are you?" God, you know where he is, bro. Why are you asking stupid questions, bro? You're God. You know everything. And he said, I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. I heard your voice in the garden, and I was afraid. I don't know what he heard God say. I thought he heard God walking. I don't know what he heard God say, but maybe he's not making a distinction between God's walking and God's voice. And he said, who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten from the tree of which I commanded you that you should not eat? This is God talking to Adam. So at this moment, Adam knew he fucked up, right? Because this is like, I imagine God's not in a good mood about this. I imagine he pulled up on him like ready to scrap about this. Like, I know damn well you did not eat off this fruit that I told you not to eat off of, bro. And at this point, Adam, now he has the ability to tell the difference between what's good and bad, right? So I imagine Adam's feeling like heavily shit brickish right now. He's probably shitting bricks, and God's probably just like pressing him right now. Like, why would you do that? Why? You know what I told you, bro. Why are you, what's up, bro? Like, who you think you are, bro? You know, this is real beef right now. This is like original beef. Then the man said, the woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me of the tree and I ate. So typical man, right? Blaming the woman for his mistakes, right? Like, I don't know why he didn't take responsibility for his actions. I don't know what he thought. God must have been swole. God must have been like heated, bro. He must have like, for Adam to be like, it was her, bro. It was her. You know, like that's some cowardice, Adam. I don't respect that. I don't respect that at all. And the Lord God said to the woman, what is this you have done? What is this you have done? The woman said, the serpent deceived me and I ate. So now she's blaming the serpent. She's not taking responsibility either. You know, but you know, if Adam not even taking responsibility, you know, she's not taking responsibility because she's a fraction of him, you know? So whatever Adam would do, you already know Eve is going to be the lesser version of whatever Adam would do. So that makes perfect sense, right? So the Lord God said to the serpent, because you have done this, you are cursed more than all cattle and more than every beast of the field. On your belly you shall go, and you shall eat dust all the days of your life. And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise your head, and you shall bruise his heel. To the woman he said, I will greatly multiply your sorrow and your conception. In pain you shall bring forth children. Your desire shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. Then to Adam he said, because you have heeded the voice of your wife, and have eaten from the tree of which I commanded you, saying, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for your sake. In toil you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the herb of the field. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread, till you return to the ground, for out of it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you shall return. So God wasn't for none of that. He wasn't having none of that. He immediately started handing out ass whoopings. So the snake immediately was cursed. So he literally put a curse on this snake. He's saying, the snake, you're essentially about to have the worst experience that an animal can have for the rest of your experience here. You're now, God is actually in a state of like vengeance. Like, he's upset. He's like handing out ass whoopings. This is not a game. He's like, you're cursed forever. You're gonna get stepped on, and you're gonna be eating dust. That's what he's telling the snake. Then he tells the woman, essentially, that when she's conceiving, so when she's delivering children, it's gonna be painful. And this is all because they ate off of a fruit tree that God knew damn well they were gonna eat off of, because God made them, right? So he's punishing them for creating them to be like, he created them and they have their own ideas, right? He created them because if God, it's like if they're doing something that God couldn't predict, it's like God doesn't have as much power as he's presumed to have in this situation, right? So God knew what they were going to do, yet he's still punishing them for what they've done, right? So now the woman gets the punishment of having a painful childbirth, and her husband now will be ruling over her now. So she does not. It's essentially like women get no freedom now. And then to Adam, he's like, basically, all of your crops are gonna suck. Everything you eat, you're gonna eat. Off the sweat of your face, you shall in the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground. So basically, you're gonna have trash crops, and you're gonna eat trash pretty much, like, and then you're gonna die, and you're gonna be returning to the trash that you're eating. So all around, this is just like a shit show, right? So you got these two humans that were clearly made and confused, and like right from the beginning, how do you fall for that? Like, how does this woman get convinced by this snake that is just a regular animal, and then how does her husband also go along with that? And now, and their commander told them not to do it, and knowing that their commander knows everything, they still did it. And then their commander, knowing that they were gonna do that, goes and punishes them. It's like, what in the world is this? Like, what? Like, imagine you make a mistake, and literally the God instantly just pulls up on you, like, what was all that about, bro? What was all that? Like, I told you not to. I told you what you couldn't do, but you just did what I specifically told you not to do. So what's up, bro? What's up? Okay, since you don't want to listen, boom, punishments. And it's like, bro, like, what? This is the Bible. Let's just wrap it up. And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. That's not true, because God is the mother of all living. And even according to this book, right? Also for Adam and his wife, the Lord God made tunics of skin, and God clothed them. Then the Lord said, behold, the man has become like one of us to know good and evil. And now, lest he put out his hand and take also of the tree of life and eat and live forever. Therefore the Lord God sent him out of the garden of Eden to till the ground from which he was taken. So he drove out the man, and he placed cherubim at the east of the Garden of Eden, and a flaming sword which turned every way to guard the way to the tree of life. Okay, so God handed out a bunch of ass whoopings, and now I guess now that Adam and Eve know good and evil, it's too late. Like, God can't do anything about it. Like a guy can't, you know what I'm saying? Like wipe their memory or something like that, even though he's like has all the power in the world. He can't just like start over. Like God doesn't have the ability to just like, all right, let's just I'm gonna start over, I'm gonna try again. I'm gonna just Adam and Eve, y'all can go away and let's just make Bruce and Brenda this time, and Bruce and Brenda won't eat from the tree and we'll just have a happily ever after type of story. But nope, instead God decides to go along with the mistake that Adam and Eve made and remove them from the Garden of Eden, and it seems like forever placed a guard around the tree of life. So now Adam and Eve have no way of accessing this. So that's it. That's Genesis 2 and 3. So God is clearly nuts, and I don't know why he didn't just make Bruce and Brenda, because I don't want to take that. I don't want to act like I could be God, like this kind of God. But if it was up to me, I would have been like, okay, clearly my first creation, I tweaked. So let me just let's do Bruce and Brenda this time. But that's just me. So mind you, this is a serious book. This is like, people take this seriously. People literally will fight to the death about this book, and we're expected to take it, and we're supposed to abide by it. I'm supposed to trust in this. I'm supposed to trust that the same God that did this to these innocent people, he made these people and he punished them. And the snake, bro, the snake is also innocent. The way that God acted, I'm supposed to trust that guy. Like, I don't know. I find it relatively unbelievable, but either way, I hope y'all enjoy, because the story is kind of like fun, I guess. But to be taken literally, I don't know. Either way, have a nice life. Peace.